Ladies of Reddit, what can a guy do that isn't explicitly sexual that will get you in the mood? Sometimes, just having his arm around my shoulders gets me in the mood. What I'm gathering from this thread is that women just like a man who has his hit together. My guy was making breakfast and I was sitting at his kitchen table. He stood behind me and started playing with my hair. He grabbed all my hair as IFHE was going to put my hair up in a ponytail. I almost died. Whispering, "Are you ready to leave, too?" in my ear at any event, a lot of people. Rolling up his sleeves. When we're cooking together and he is chopping some vegetables and here I am getting turned on. If we're sitting, rubbing my thighs and acting nonchalant. Standing, hug from behind and kiss on the neck and I go 0 to 100. Putting his arm around my seat while reverse parking the car. Smell really ucking good. There are some colognes that absolutely drive me insane. Being really nice to animals. Being excited about petting a cat. Going on a long tangent about something they are passionate about. Whether it's explaining a video game world or debating about which pie is best, it turns me on so much. Sadly to the point that I'm barely listening to what they're saying. Just having arms really. Turning the steering wheel with his palm. Study the blade. Doing manual work. Gardening. Pottery. Conquering all of Mongolia weary. Be witty and have good banter. Physically protecting me. Keeping me safe in crowded areas, the sidewalk rule, situational awareness. It's these little displays of strength and care that I appreciate the most. Play with my hair, but nicely, not dragging his fingers through and getting them tangled lol. Brush it, play it, smooth it down, gather it up like a ponytail and slide your hands along, brushing fingers on the back of my neck. Gives me goosebumps. Make me eye contact and engaged conversation, where we're both facing each other and maybe brushing hands occasionally, smiles and eyes glancing down, around at each other's bodies now and then take something off my plate, like chores or decisions on what we do that night. This is an oddly specific one, but sitting outside in the sun together. He's got one arm on the back of the chair and a drink in the other, sunglasses on so I can't see his eyes but we're facing each other and chatting. Something about not being able to tell exactly where he's looking but I know he's looking at me really does it for me, especially in a group setting a solid firm hug while I'm laying on his chest, wrapped up in both arms and held tight. Even chance of X or me falling asleep. Seeing him be kind to someone else or having big belly laughs with a friend. Obviously no one is happy 24/7, but happiness and smiles are very sexy. Reading a book or being totally absorbed in something makes me want to be naughty to get his attention. My wife loves when I wear straight-legged somewhat tight jeans with work boots. I guess a guy could try reciting Shakespeare sonnets while juggling flaming pineapples, but I can't guarantee it'll work. For me it's grocery shopping. Buying real ingredients and not standing in the frozen section. It tickles my caveman brain, whispers hunter, gatherer and screams yes. My better answer. It's seriously hot when guys are squeezing the meat or fondling the melons. Edit. I am extremely good motivated.
Which profession attracts the worst kinds of people? Deleted. Reality, TV. Unpopular opinion but nurses. There is a lot of toxic abusive high school girl drama type behavior among nurses. It's such an important job and about half the people doing it shouldn't be responsible for a yogurt, let alone a human being's life. I've seen some hit, man. Not all nurses are mean girls, but all mean girls are nurses. Police. Everyone. You'll start to realize it's people. Paparazzi. Law enforcement seems to have some problems. Okay, so not really a profession, but there is a certain subset of musicians who are also wannabe influencers. Particular people who are very on Twitter. So backstabby and clout hungry. Sales, estate agents, recruiters.
How did somebody you know ruin their life in one day? My dad used a dirty needle while doing drugs and got HIV. In 2008 he told us he was living with AIDS because of that one day. We have helped pay for the meds or his bills, because he paid for his meds and didn't have the money, ever since. Last summer he got COVID and when the doc was talking to my sister on the phone she asked what special treatment he would need to have due to having AIDS. His doctor of 20 years said, "What? He doesn't have AIDS. We haven't talked to him since. Tried to kill themselves by jumping off a bridge. Survived. Paralyzed from neck down. My daughter's middle school teacher exchanged nudes with a 14-yo on Discord across state lines. He got drunk, got in his car, drove 90 miles per hour, missed a red light and killed my niece and 3 other people. He's been in prison since 2009 and still has 6 years to go, as he plead out to 4 counts of manslaughter. Dude, several years our junior, on the fringe of the friend group, was spiraling into depression. Decided to end it WA shotgun. Didn't get the angle right. Blew his jaw and face off. Literally. ID's not for nothing that I've said ever since. There are worse things than dying. Friend of mine from a wealthy Middle Eastern country, family didn't quite ruin his life but tucked it up for a while. Was in Canada on a student visa but was working after graduating and applied for permanent residency. Got rejected, so he took out every credit card he could find and ran them all up because he was leaving the country forever that week. Tells his parents he is coming home and why. Mom makes a few phone calls and turns out the kid had screwed up some paperwork, and it was no problem to get it fixed up and approved. That was 15 years ago and he still lives here, but his credit card debt was more than his annual salary and his parents, correctly, told Hiva was an idiot and to pay it himself. He also lost out on a job opportunity the next year because his credit was such a disaster. 3 guys in high school decided to speed on the backroads after practice. Lost control, driver was decapitated, passenger, who was being scouted, had severe brain damage and unable to walk, eat, on his own, and the third may have walked away, but for the rest of his life will have to live with the trauma. Great bunch of guys, just heartbreaking. Childhood friend who relapsed from a drug addiction. He ingested fentanyl, died all alone in a filthy basement. He had been looking healthier, we reconnected and he was planning his life going forward sober. That hurt a lot, that hope being taken away in a few minutes. UCK opiates, fentanyl and those who deal it. Too many lives every day. Middle management type man where I used to work, came into the office every other day. He was known to be a stand-up guy, good family man, even a good boss, as good as it gets when it comes to management at least. He got caught having sex with the new hire. Lost this job, his marriage, and his kids stopped talking to him. That was 2 years ago. Last news I goths living in a studio apartment with a mattress in the floor, and already spent half his savings on alcohol. Worked with a guy. He made his kids ice cream, drugged 1 bowl. Then put that kid to bed. Once the other kid went to sleep he shot and killed her. Then went to the other kid's room, the drugged one, shot and killed her. Then called up his wife, shot and killed himself on the phone with her. UCKU Mark. UCKU. Guy the first knew in uni was inebriated and decided to try and clear a very tall spiked wrought iron fence. Impaled his alls and did not get to keep them. A friend of my parents was a good family man who loved his family. One day he was playing with his toddler and was playfully tossing her on the bed. She would get back up giggling and he would toss her again. In one of the tosses he threw her a bit too far and she hit a bedpost. She lived but became bedbound, unable to even talk. Not vegetable but close. He went to jail on child abuse. Lost his wife, his job and his little girl would never be the same. The guilt was so much he ended it as soon as he could. Guys got drunk in HS, drove off the highway, didn't make the turn at 90 miles per hour, 5 dead. My childhood friend Mandy found out at 15 she was pregnant and cried rape. The truth came out almost immediately because the boy she claimed was the father had recorded them ucking and she forgot about the tape. Worked in Seattle airport and a coworker decided to take his own life by stealing an airplane, fly it in loops around the Pacific Northwest airspace while being chased by the Air Force until finally going nose down. Buddy in high school got drunk and wrapped his car around a utility pole. Left a daughter behind. You would think teenage dad would have been the thing that ruined his life, but no, it was the dying. Had a friend or ex-friend at the time, he decided, so what if she's not 18 and he was a teacher? Yanit, a good outcome. A guy the first went to high school with, who was a junior girls football coach in his 40s, was chatting online to a 12-year-old girl. He was grooming her for X. He arranged to meet her at a bus depot one day before school. Instead, he was arrested in a police sting. The cop raided his house that same day and found thousands upon thousands of videos and images of child pornography. News like that spreads pretty quickly in a small town. His car, which was still parked at the bus station, was torched that evening and his house was firebombed later that week. In one day he was arrested for child X crimes. He lost his job, his family disowned him, and his car was set alight. He had just turned 19. Summer after senior year. Dad owns a very lucrative lumber sales and construction company. He got a brand new truck for graduation, and was going to start his job after summer ended with his dad. Trained to be a foreman, and basically be set for life on a path to retire extremely comfortably by the age of 55, he decided to take a bunch of pills and ran a red light. T-boned a car, killing the driver instantly and crippling the passenger for life. He got off with vehicular manslaughter because his dad forked out big money to get the charges lessened. He served 13 years and got out last year. He just walks around the town now because he can't work, own a license or vehicle. Heading over to R. Wholesome now. My cousin got back into drugs, after having his life together and doing well for a long time. He started losing his hit. Apparently he had some underlying schizophrenia. They think the drug use burrowed out. He took a rifle to a store parking lot and shot a guy, ran over his body, then had a police standoff. Said he shot the president or some hit like that. Needless to say, he ruined his life, took another and destroyed another family in the process. Me! I didn't believe my mom. She said she'd kick me out at 18, so I never bothered to get a part-time job to save money. My 18th birthday came around, and I said, nope, to her when she asked if I'd gotten a job or had living arrangements figured out. The next day, I came home from a friend's place to a laundry basket of clothing at the door. She drove me to a homeless shelter and never let me come back home. Kid down the street had his best friend over, Auntie's friend. Being a 12 to 13-year-old boy was being a total ickhead. Kid picks up a shotgun his brother left lying around in the dining room and aimed at friend. Friend taunted him. Kid pulled the trigger and filled his friend's head full of buckshot. Two families instantly devastated. Kid went to jail. I occasionally see the friend when I go out for a walk. He's a grown-up now, but is intellectually maybe 4 to 5 years old, and will be taken care of by family for the rest of his life. Found an article on it. Yes, the friend lived, though with a lot of brain damage. Handful of guys from my graduating high school class were expelled after one semester of college, ranging from underage drinking, cheating academically, sexual assault, public intoxication, or quitting college to find oneself as they blow away their trust fund, be traveling to Europe and binge drinking. Alcohol and a three-wheeler. Alcohol and a motorcycle. Alcohol and a van full of friends. Alcohol and operating heavy machinery. My brother got into the car with his friend, who I knew had drank too much. He quite literally ended his life. I'm not looking for attention or condolences, but just remember that it's not just being the drunk driver that you have to think about. I once heard of a person who made the wrong decision and gambled away their life savings in one evening. I was at a casino down in Atlantic City because we were staying by the shore nearby and said why not. I played and won $60 and chickened out from playing anymore. This old man is in front of the cashier cash-out area and the lady behind the glass told him his bank account was empty. Jim, a kid I went to high school, gave a bunch of father kids a ride home in his pickup truck. The other kids rode in the bed as he drove each of them home. You can already see where this is going, I think. Anyway, Jim tried to make a light but he came up way short. Traffic on the opposite side already, a green light. Jim's truck hit a car in the middle of the intersection, sending the kids riding in the back flying through the air. 2 of the kids died from their injuries while one of the other ones got helicoptered to the ICU. Making matters worse, the car he hit was driven by Erin, a girl we went to high school with. All she did was proceed through the intersection, light turned green. Like, literally nobody blamed her at all. but she was only 16 and had just started driving. But she never signed up to be involved in a crash where people died. The incident sent her over the edge. She had a nervous breakdown and I never saw her again. Life wasn't easy for Jim after that. The other students in school were merciless to him. Obviously felt horrible about what happened. But self-flagellation was apparently not enough for the other students. Eventually, Jim had to leave the school because his safety was legit in danger. Jim's situation might have been exacerbated by some very forgiving parents. One of them said words to the effect of, "He's already suffering and he'll suffer even more in the future. I can't myself to add to his pain." I don't think the other kids took kindly to the parents just letting it go. But I can't prove that. I have no idea what Aaron or Jim are up to these days. But I hope they're both better. TL. Doctor, there's no such thing as driving too safe. The life you save could be a teenager who can't cope with the trauma. Guy the first knew, married and with 2 kids. He'd been adopted as a baby and reconnected with his bio family, including his 10-year-old sister who he was excited to get to know. She came to visit him planning to spend a few weeks with his family. Her first day there, he tried to molest her. She got away from him, ran to the bathroom and called 911. He lost his job, most of his friends, and, we thought at the time, his wife. She took him back when he got out of prison, though. Gambling. All their savings, the house, a motorbike. She walked out, eventually, got her life back. Him? Who knows? A coworker of mine who had a very successful management-level job at a big corporation paralyzed themselves from the waist down after trying to climb up a rainpipe on a drunken dare. And #X200B. They couldn't work for almost a year, returned in Avery Jr. position, and were basically making minimum wage. Their life savings disappeared in a couple of months despite them being amazing at saving, and last I saw them they were made redundant when COVID hit. No idea what their situation is now.